Good afternoon. I'm Chief Kenny Kavanaugh with the Jeffersonville Police Department. That's Kavanaugh, K-A-V-A-N-A-U-G-H. We're here today to make an announcement in regards to our arrest from a homicide that occurred on October 17th here in Jeffersonville at the Hallmark Apartments. That incident and the homicide involved our victim, Ms. Laundrie Owens. Want to state that to the family and today's arrest is that speaking on behalf of the victim. When you look at gun violence and you look at the criminal behavior of the individuals that we're holding responsible and accountable today, you look at their criminal behavior that has led up to this point. We come to the terms and we recognize that this act of violence that happened to occur was very senseless. Our victim in this situation, and I looked at this video more than one time on one occasion. It was very, very hard to watch, to see what actually happened and what unfolded, happened out there on that date of October the 17th. There was absolutely no regard at all whatsoever for human life. And watching that video brings us to the point in time today that I feel some relief being able to personally stand before you today and actually say that we're holding the two individuals responsible and we're holding them accountable for what they did. Totally senseless. But when you look at the two individuals, Mr. LaShondre Osborne and Mr. Quintez Parker, I look at their criminal history and been watching this investigation very close. And I say very close when I watch that video and I reflect back on that video week after week through the course and time of this investigation. Really, really hard to watch, to see how someone could act and be that way, that deliberate, that violent, that type of direction to a person, an individual. There was also two people involved in this. The other victim of this incident, Mr. Hodges, he was able to flee the scene and get away, but Mrs. Owens was not, and highly unfortunate. But I want to say the two individuals here, I want to make a couple points and look at this. You look at gun violence that's happening, occurring all over the country, and we're at an increase of more than 50% at numerous places around the country. And we have to come to terms and recognize that it comes and hits us home here in our community. This is our second homicide in Jeffersonville this year. But when I take a look at the individuals that's coming to our community that committed this type of senseless violence and these type of acts, I come to terms and look at their criminal history of trafficking in controlled substance, convicted felons in possession of handguns, convicted felons possessing firearms of a dangerous weapon, receiving stolen property, things of that nature, facilitation to robbery, convicted felon in possession again of handgun, and then you look at other charges that while being an inmate, assault on corrections employees. You also take a look at wanton endangerment charges to police. So when you look at the criminal behavior and the actions of these individuals, I guess I come to terms to understanding looking at the video of what I saw and how this happened occurred. But I want to tell you today that we were able, through our course of investigation, the fine work of Jeffersonville Police Department Detective Division, the work with the Louisville Metro Police Department, the homicide unit. We had various resources from their agency that was involved, and I do not want to leave anyone out. Specifically, I want to call the name of Lieutenant Burbrink, a friend. We appreciate the dedication and resources that they're able to communicate and collaborate with us working this investigation. Also, the fugitive unit of Louisville Metro Police Department, the violent crime unit, also LMPD SWAT. I also want to highlight the 3rd Division detectives. We sent some information out immediately within hours of our homicide occurring. That was very detrimental and significant to our investigation. I also want to thank the 2nd Division and also Major Robinson with her help and assistance on Friday while taking these two individuals into custody. We had some impromptu things that occurred, and I want to go ahead and highlight that through that course in time, it was Mr. Osborne who actually fled away from officers at the time of trying to take him into custody and arrest, and he actually fled to a residence there in the 4200 block of Hale Avenue, and he fled to the residence of Mr. Parr. So we wound up with a situation that was pretty dangerous. Two persons and individuals that were wanted on these felony charges for murder. They were contained at one location, and we were able to execute a warrant with the assistance of Louisville Metro Police SWAT, being assisted also by the 2nd Division. We were able to take them into custody without further incident. The investigation then continued on, and I want to say that our detective division were able to recover other evidence with the assistance of the Louisville Metro Police Department, the homicide unit. We're continuing that investigation on at this time. But I do want to turn this over to Detective Moss, but I want to say here, if you come into our community, and I've said this before, and you're committing this type of violence, this type of criminal activity. You're coming in with stolen vehicles. You're coming in to victimize and hurt people. Ms. Owens was one of our residents, and she definitely did not deserve this. I want to say there was some type of ongoing dispute that was happening here, but our information has revealed that Ms. Owens was not a part of this. She happened to be at the wrong place at a wrong time, I guess, so to speak. But I don't know how that is, so to speak, that at your residence, but she did not deserve this, okay? And these persons, individuals here, we plan on holding Mr. Osborne, Mr. Park, we plan on bringing them back to our community here of Clark County and holding them accountable for their actions, their behavior, especially what they did here on this date and time. So let's remember the Owens family, where we are. Ms. Londra Owens, this is our day here to speak for her, for what has happened, occurred to her being a victim. I want to thank you for coming out. I want to turn it over to Detective Moss.
Good afternoon. I'm Detective Sergeant Samuel Moss. I'm here to release some more information regarding the murder investigation and also to represent our detective division. On October 17th, 2022, the Jeffersonville Police Department Patrol Division responded to a call for service in the 2000 block of Paddlewheel Court regarding a shooting. Upon arrival, our officers located a female identified as Londra Owens in a passenger vehicle who had succumbed to her injuries, which were sustained as a result of gunfire. The Detective Division responded to the scene and began an investigation with the assistance of the Indiana State Police, who conducted evidence processing. Since this shooting, our investigators have worked around the clock with assistance from Louisville Metro Police Department Homicide Division, Fugitive Unit, Violent Crime Unit, LMPD SWAT, as well as the 2nd and 3rd Division Detectives and Patrol. As a result, LaShondre T. Osborne, 25 of Louisville, and Quintez Parr, 26 of Louisville, were arrested and charged with the following: murder, attempted murder, unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon, a level 4 felony, criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon, a level 5 felony, and auto theft, a level 6 felony. I want to make it very clear that this type of behavior is unacceptable in Jeffersonville. It's heinous crimes such as these that we take very serious, and our detectives will work around the clock, tirelessly and judiciously to see that justice prevails. I'd like to take this time, also this opportunity, to thank our community. We pride ourselves on our relationship, and it's examples such as these that are evident as to why we're able to keep our city and our city's visitors safe. At this time, I would also like to open the floor up for any questioning, if anyone has any questions regarding the investigation.
It was mentioned Ms. Owens wasn't involved, or was it the wrong place, wrong time? Can you elaborate at all on what the motive was or why this occurred?
What I can say is we have learned that this was an isolated incident in Jeffersonville, but also with that being said, we believe that this was motivated by an ongoing feud between Rufus Hodges and the shooters in this murder investigation, and that is the connection between as far as a motive for the shooting.
So the government were looking for Hodges and happened to get her in the middle of their pursuit, I guess you could say.
That's correct.
You guys mentioned that their criminal history, are all of those crimes committed in Louisville? All of the stuff that you guys are talking about, receiving stolen property, the robbery stuff, assault on corrections employees, all of that is from Louisville?
I can't say with 100% certainty without going through the criminal history, but
Okay.
yes, a vast majority of those crimes, if not all of them, occurred in Louisville.
And I guess how key was it working with LMPD to make these arrests possible?
It was very crucial to work with Louisville Metro and their assistance, their intelligence unit, and all the resources that I named earlier in order to apprehend these dangerous suspects. Due to their resources and officers, we were able to locate these individuals and were successful apprehending them on Friday, late Friday evening. with their assistance. We would have had a very hard time doing it without them.
What is the relationship, if you can say, between Mr. Hodges and Miss Owens?
It was a romantic relationship.
Okay. What was it, between maybe you and LMPD or either or that really made a big difference and allowed you guys to identify who these people were?
Well, we used a lot of modern technology to investigate this crime. And that's really what really kind of helped us out and assisted greatly with being able to make IDs and identification of the suspects involved. We have a lot of tools and resources at our disposal nowadays, and thanks to where we are with things and the investigative tools that we have, that's led greatly to our ability to be able to identify the suspects.
Also, I'd like to note in there, you talk about using 21st century policing and leveraging 21st century policing. This is what it's about. Utilizing technology where we are today, but also the resources. And I want to say the communication of people from southern Indiana where the incident happened occurred. There was not any hesitation at all by residents to come forward to provide information, to share information, when it happened, what they saw. And our evidence and information took us outside the community of Jeffersonville into the city of Louisville, where in the circumference of this investigation, a lot of data of information was produced that led us to the culmination of producing the charges. And we also found who these individuals were, underlying motives, and other activities of information that we were able to turn over to the Louisville Metro Police Department that related to some of their open investigations as well.
That was going to be my next question. And you guys thanked the community. Just what did they do to help you out? But you answered that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And understanding this here where we are today, relationships with having with the public here, also relationships with us being there, making the arrests and their own scene and speaking with the residents around the area there. They were very helpful and pleased. Had persons individual Friday there on scene when I was there in that second division on Hill Street and sharing information, knowing we were there from Indiana, explaining what the situation was. They were fully supportive, and I want to thank those people in that district, in that community as well. Thank you.
You guys mentioned the video too. Is that something that's going to be made public?
That's evidence, so that unfortunately that's something that will not be made public. That's due to the nature of the type of video that it is, being evidence related. In order to uphold the integrity of the case, it won't be released.
I'm sorry, I know this was mentioned, but was that a video filmed by the victim? Is it security? What is the video exactly?
It was a video that was captured by a privately owned camera.
And that played a significant role with us being here today, where we are, locating the vehicle, what we had immediately upon that investigation having occurred. And I want to say that the cooperation, getting that information within hours, within 48 hours, we were already moving on this investigation because of that documented evidence that we had in possession.
Can you clarify if that was like a security cam or ring cam or a phone? What?
Right now, for the integrity of the investigation, I think Detective Moss too as well. We're just going to say documented evidence, and it's going to be at some point in time discoverable, will come out. But I think the integrity of the investigation, and we do want to share Detective Moss even to say this: the investigation is actually still ongoing, especially after we executed the search warrant there Friday as well.
Do you guys expect more people to be arrested in this case?
Well, I do want to emphasize that all suspects regarding the homicide are in custody. However, with that being said, Rufus Hodges does have an outstanding warrant for his arrest for some weapons charges that are unrelated to our homicide. But he does have a warrant for his arrest at this time.
You guys talked about being the voice for Miss Owens. If you had a message for her family, and I'm sure you shared it with them, but what would it be?
Well, obviously, making this arrest, this is not forgotten. I know it's taken some time from October 17th to where we are, but through due diligence and procedural justice, this is where we are today. And understanding that we have the ability, we're speaking here for their loved one today that had to experience this horrible and horrendous crime by holding the persons and individuals that committed this criminal behavior accountable, and accountable through gun violence, senseless gun violence. And again, we're referencing this video, but to see that video and to understand what happened occurred on this date and time, there was no regard for no human life at all whatsoever. And just to be that lawless, but understanding and me trying to, how do we get to this point? How does this happen occur? Look at the criminal history. Look at it, it's there. It's not a shock, it's not a surprise. and recognize that the criminal actions and behavior of what you're dealing with. So therefore, it's predicated upon our response. We're going to deal with you, and we're going to bring you before charges through procedural justice, which we have. And also, we didn't highlight the Clark County Prosecutor's Office, Mr. Mull, Deputy Prosecutor Tom Weil, Deputy Prosecutor Mr. Gray. They've been very involved, instrumental, weekly meeting with us in regards to this case and exactly all the evidence. When I say evidence that we've had to work through and to keep them in the loop of what's going on, and actually then to be able to pursue these individuals out of state into the state of Kentucky. That coordination of working with them and also the Commonwealth Attorney's Office from time to time encourage it. We thank them very much as well.
Where is Mr. Hodges?
That's a good question.
Okay.
It's a very good question, but we're putting him out here today where he is, and obviously he was able to flee the scene and not be a victim on this date and time, but we're able to work through the course of our investigation, have communication and contact, but that's a good question. But he stands today, obviously the situation here with Mrs. Owens, he was domestically involved, but the situation here, that's a good question where Mr. Hodges is, but we are looking for him if he wants to make contact. We've attempted to make contact, and there's also been the authorities of law enforcement there in the state of Kentucky, the fugitive unit, I think they're in pursuit as well.
So is he from Kentucky?
Yes, he is a Louisville resident.
Okay. And does, yeah, he was wanted, so he does have a criminal history as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's centered around involving violence and violent crime. It is actually there, and it came up in the circumference of this investigation. I mean, it's in the probable cause affidavit. We're not going to hide it. The situation is what the situation is, and we have to recognize how this is happening, occurring. This is a prime example of the violence you're seeing all over the country. You're seeing it in Kentuckiana. It's just come here to Southern Indiana. We've had the ability to investigate this, work through this investigation, and here's where we are today, holding this individual, the two individuals, Mr. Hodges too, being held accountable for his actions and behavior. Another matter, but we're bringing that into play too. It's all here to the forefront.
Just, my last thing is, do you have a picture that you can share with us, that we can put out to the public and say, hey, be on the lookout for this individual?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Investigators here in the room, they're prepared to provide that information. Once we conclude today's presser, share that with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Unless there's anything else either of you want to say?
I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chief.
No, I'd just like to say again, we'd like to thank everyone that was involved. Again, the Clark County Prosecutor's Office, I do not want to admit them, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office as well, but there was a lot of